morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League presented by WTRL. We're out in the Greater London Flat. Nathan Guerra here and Dave Towle next to me. The course today has been flat. It's been super fast, obviously, by the name. Greater and flat, but in London, it hasn't been raining so far that I've seen today. We've had some crazy times coming out of EMEA as well as APAC. A lot of, on the men's side of things, 6 to 7 watts per kilogram on the front in the A category. I've seen a lot of 4 to 5 watts per kilogram on average in the women's categories that we've been broadcasting. It's been a ton of fun to watch the very close racing as well as the change-ups from week 1 to week 2 for those who are good with a scratch race that we saw riding around in the jungle versus those who just got some pure power in a team time trial. That's kind of the black and white picture we're kind of almost painting a little bit here when it comes to this very, very contrasted difference, I think, Dave, between these two kinds of races.
Yeah, that's a good point, Nathan. Aeonian is the only team at the top of my mind that has won both round 1 and round 2 of the ZRL. As one thing that we really have seen today are close battles. Of the 4 races that we broadcast out of EMEA, 2 of them had 3 teams within 10 seconds of each other after 29K of racing. So it's been amazing. And also, shout out to WTRL on Thursdays. The teams that participate and know the drill with team time trialing clearly have what better term than a leg up on the rest of the competition out here. I mean, it really does show, especially on a course like this, where it's not just about fitness, it's about ability. One outlier ride today would be Lizzie Brooke and Wahoo Lacole, where it wasn't pretty what they did. That was a brute force win that we saw from them out here. And I believe that was the fastest women's time that we've seen all day. So there's different ways to get to the finish line, that's for sure. But for everybody, it's going to be a painful path to that line. So Nathan, always a competitive category that we've got out here. I really enjoy watching America's East have at it. So expect a great evening of racing here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out here today with the first 3 racers taking off from the go being in the A category, ATP. We'll take a look here. The ladies are out on course. They got a little while until they actually hit the first marker. So let's go ahead and take a look at the course map as well as a couple of words from our man, Cy Bradley. But as you can see here from the start, the lead out along the River Thames, it will be a total of 28.99 kilometers, 18 miles, 104 meters of climbing, and 341 feet. That is in old money. So they'll be doing 2 laps once they do head on over toward that Greater London Flat. So that's the situation there. Let's go ahead and see what Cy had to say with his course preview. Cy Bradley from over on YouTube.
Welcome to London for stage 2 of the Zwift Racing League. It's a team time trial and it's on the Greater London Flat. One of the fastest courses in game for team time trialing. 28.9 kilometers, just 150 meters of elevation on this one. 3 power-ups to look at here. We've got the aero, the draft and the feather, and it's all about communication when utilizing those power-ups as a team. We've got a long lead-in, just over 5 kilometers, and it's in that lead-in at kilometer 3.5 that we have the biggest challenge, the longest drag and incline in this course. It's 800 meters long, 5% maximum gradient. You're going to need 6 riders if you want to top that table and set some fastest times. So get all 6 riders up that climb if possible. You're going to pick up another power up when you go through the start-finish banner properly here on the red roads of the Mall, and then again at the start of lap 2. Team time trial is all about maintaining speed, keeping the pace on the front as high as possible at all times. Stay efficient, have fun, and ride on. Right, let's go find somewhere to watch this race.
It looks like Cy brought the rain with him as well because the ladies have found it. It looks like as we jump in with the A category with ATP. It's
that bit didn't play as well when it wasn't raining out, but Cy's nailing it right now, bringing a lot of production value to the broadcast.
Definitely. Let's take a quick look here at the America's East Division 1A for the current standings,
Hey.
and it is going to be at the top ATP Racing Stingers, followed up by Wahoo Local, America's West A1, who are chasing them down. We do have on the rivet Cinderellas there with 18 points. Riot is currently in fourth place. Not a usual place to find Riot, interesting enough. So we'll see if they can bring things back. They are very good with the team time trial, so I have a feeling we're going to see them bump themselves up a tad on the day. Crouching Galpin, Fear Nothing, Sisu Do, followed up by Sisu Royal City, and Core Sports. No shows last week, so we'll see if they do show up this week on the start line. That's the situation currently for the standings. As they do jump out on course, we will get this list populated that we do see in front of us here for the current split times. 26K to go for ATP Racing. Riot have hit the course, as well as Cryogen Gallopin. We'll keep an eye on them as they make their way around. We will be coming across a few of the categories in the Div 1s today for the women as best as we possibly can. It does look like Barbara Fazzoli already off the back by 27 seconds. That is a big loss here for this team currently at this point. Only 4K
Big surprise, too. Yeah, big. That's a name that very recognizable, top talent. So I would wonder what happened there. Maybe some kind of a technical issue. So let's run through then. Barbara right now fighting to get back into the slipstream here. This team has Ali B, Katie Candeloro, Meredith Moran, and Rachel Lieberman, who was one of the stars of last week's race. She was in a breakaway with Anna Russell that went to the line. So she was my 5K hero, actually, or well, I should say one of our 5K heroes out there. Or was in that conversation is a better way to put it. Wahoo Lacole Americas. I'm interested to see what kind of a ride they're going to have today. This is the team of Britt Mason, the true North American squad, as they have Mexican rider Karina Escueda, who's made quite a name for herself over the last 6 months or so in the world of esports. Really a breakthrough rider. Very exciting to watch what she's doing. We've also got Katrina Folis, Laura Perry, and Natasha Elliott. Katrina, Laura, and Natasha are the three Canadians on this team. And then Tamra Roberts is the final member of this Wahoo Lacole team. They bring a lot of experience and horsepower, Nathan, to London with them. 29K. As Sai said, there's a really big lead and heavy roads leading into the 2 laps that they do out here in London. So Wahoo Lacole now getting, really, they're just wrapping that up and getting out into the course proper now, as we'll watch and see how they compare. The 3 Czechs come in at 6, 14, and 22K, and that is really valuable information. What's been interesting today is only, I would say, a third of the time the teams that have been leading at 14K have gone on to win. Maybe 50-50, but we've seen a lot of teams pace and schedule this race well and come back in the last 5K to win.
And as we do see, very steady ability here. I do know that the Wahoo Lacole today are doing this without a DS, from what I am understanding. So this, as we watch through here, they're seeming very organized, though, even without that. A little bit of extra help directly to the front. We do see Perry now taking over at 6 watts per kilogram. Steady 51 kilometers per hour on this little bit of a downhill. Anything sub 50, if I were a part of a TTT team through this section of course, would be completely unacceptable. Good on Laura Perry just taking over and smashing it at 51K, over 6 watts per kilogram to really drive the pace here with the rest of them.
Monster watts from Laura Perry there, and experience is what you're seeing right there. She knows to keep the speed high and carry that momentum. So the only weak spot that Wahoo Lacole has right now across their men's and women's teams is well, so many people want to participate and race with the team. It sounds like they're struggling to find directors, Nathan, which is a good problem to have. Because they have been absolutely one of those teams that I wouldn't say they went from 0 to 60 last year, but boy, did they pick up some momentum, the numbers. It's the quality and the quantity that we're seeing from Wahoo Lacole. And they seem to have a team in just about every division out here as well. That's the Canadian knucking up on the front right now, Natasha Elliott. Allie going to be coming through here. Britt Mason, another one of the Canadians on this team. It's a good benchmark squad to look at out here, and we'll start seeing the splits filling in out here today. Sisu Do also. I'll be interested to see what they can do. It is worth noting that the teams start based on their performance last week. Last week was not a time trial. It was a scratch race, I really should say. A very interesting format that we started the season with. And it was ATP Racing Stingers that I don't know if I'd call it a shocking win, Nathan. But what is maybe shocking is that Riot's all the way down in fourth. I mean, anybody is beatable in this league. And it's not the first time that Riot hasn't won. But to see three teams getting the better of Riot, I don't think we've seen that in the history of ZRL, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, very interesting to see that it played out as Riot has been the dominating force. Ward to the front here, 4 on the rivet. Bishop is there as well.
Yeah, Nathan, on that point, I think you know what I'm thinking kind of happens there because it was all in for the finish with no bonus sprints or any fastest through segments out there. If you did get it wrong, there was no chance to make up points, right? So maybe that's a part of it. It was a big gambler's race out there last week, and they even won the race with Anna Russell.
The interesting point is that Anna was able to win the race, but since it is a team scored situation, unable then to take it as a team.
Right.
And obviously across the line at the finish line, lots of points up for grabs. And we do see that a little bit lower down there for Riot as was stacked for some of these other teams up top. OTR now with Van Howling, though. Molly to the front, it looks like. Cassandra now taking over at 5.2. Around this corner, 32 kilometers per hour. 281 watts, 173 beats per minute currently for Gallagher. Looks like Moraz here unable to hang on. And another early casualty. Obviously, the TTT here
starts
making things difficult
rough
for some riders. Yeah. Now look at this. Anna Russell to the front. Smith's there as well. See Fiona, Grossman, Megan Rathwell, Jennifer Reel. They've got quite the squad. You think they're here to make a splash and try and bring something back? I think so here, Dave. I think that we need to watch out for them for coming in as, if not a favorite, one of the top tier to try and win. Obviously,
you know how they say, Nathan, don't poke the bear. This is the bear. It was poked. Believe me. This team is definitely going to be motivated to come back and show who they are, their core, and they're going to be really, really tough to beat today. Let's talk about who they lined up on the squad. I believe I saw Christina Grossman's name. She's become an all-time favorite in the community. Absolute legend there in New York City. So Anna Russell out of New Zealand. Fiona Gallagher is here. She's the Irish woman. Megan Rathwell out of Canada. Natalie Smith is another New Zealander on the squad. And then Christina Grossman, along with Jen Reel, who just got done winning the the Tour de France, the San Antonio edition. Alberto Contador was in the United States this week. He was in San Antonio, Texas, which is a very interesting part of the country that I'm going to guess not a lot of Europeans visit. But the Spaniard, the multi-time Tour de France, Giro d'Italia, certainly one of the greatest races of his generation, was there, giving Jen her gold medal on Sunday. So good for her. Big fan of Jen Reel. Jen has moved from Hawaii to Texas.
Oh, I didn't know she jumped over the pond there and has made her home over in Texas. Cool to see. And I did see that post on the podium there. I didn't know that Alberto was handing her a medal. That's pretty awesome.
Isn't it?
Pretty cool to see. Grossman now taking over. Not really something that I would say is her forte, but I think, at least in the past, I think she's been putting a lot of work in recently, though, on more of that pure power type situation for her. And as you can see here, 417 watts as Reel comes on through and keeping the power and speed as high as they possibly can. It does look like Rathwell on the back. And Rathwell here, I would say she is more of just a pure FTP rider that can hammer. Interesting to see her sitting on the back a little bit here. I think I think this team is so well rounded today. They're keeping it cool as far as maybe not overextending and waiting to get these negative splits. They've seen that pay off maybe throughout the day so far. At an 840 with where Wahoo LaCour are at, tied with them at the top right now, I think they're boding really well for what they want to accomplish, and they probably have a lot of confidence seeing those times right now.
I completely agree. Nathan. Anna Russell and you on our team, I would say, well, I'm talking about our Zwift Community Live team. I think that you and Anna are one type of a human being, the way your like shark brain operates, and Kate Bates and I are different. Very, very different. Um, and both of you, to your credit, that's not fair to Kate to put her on my team. Of course, I'm doing that, right? I'm the one calling these shots, but you two are incredibly analytical, and that really, in something like a team time trial, people are willing to take the time to break down the data and think about the equipment and think about the best way to ride. It goes a long, long way. Rather than just kind of just throwing it, showing up at the start line and chucking out the best ride that you can and hoping for the best. That's not the way Anna Russell operates. That's for sure. I don't think there's too much that she doesn't think through thoroughly. Megan Rathwell here that we're looking at now. I don't know what you think about that, Nathan, but I think it's fair. You know, different mindsets with different racers, and both you and Anna are thinking people's racers.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't know if I was
How could
always
you argue?
like that, though. I don't know if I was always like that. That's something that I like to win, and I think that probably came out of liking to win in ways I had
Being
to.
smart helps in winning, right?
Helped in winning, yeah. Because I remember okay, this is too much about me, but real quickly, when I first started racing mountain bikes, I just enjoyed the fact that you just go hard and you can win, and that was it.
Didn't
Like
have
just
to
go.
think, right?
I didn't have to think, no. And then once I figured out at the higher level of mountain bike racing, there was a lot of thinking that went on and a lot of tactic. It definitely changed things up for me. And then Zwift racing was a whole nother world. So anyways, the men have jumped out on course here. We will take a look at them. We'll get a look across some of these categories as well in just a moment, as we do have a few of them to be covering. Next, presented by Insured, with Gumbel is being let out currently over the mall at their 5.5 kilometer mark. We'll get those images here in just a second. Crouch and Galloping, though, are on the ladies' side. Here they are, and trying to chase down Riot. That's going to be a tough call for them, as they have lost 20 seconds almost already to this monster of a team. And it does look like Riot are doing what Riot does and dominating so far. But taking a look at Martin here for the US of A, and having a solid ride as she leads her team out at 166 beats per minute.
Legendary squad when you talk about cryogen out here. This is Angel Martin, the American on the team. They've got Debbie Woods Turner, the DWT, in full effect out there. They also have the JAP, Judy Ann Park Racing. They don't call themselves that. I'm making that up. Diane Bowmans and Catherine Rush on this team with Pascal Legrand. There's a few Canadians, couple Americans. It's a nice mix on Team CryoGen. Nathan, you know, you say, some splits coming in. You say, oh boy, 20 seconds back. That's not all that bad. And it's 17 seconds back. So we've seen teams come back from further, but boy, they are setting this one up to be an absolute Donnybrook bedlam today in London, with Wahoo Lacole in with the same time as Riot. Deadlocked at 8:40. Lock that down and turn the key, because we got a Donnybrook that Sisu Du wants in on. They're only 15 seconds back. And then it's two teams now, Cryogen Gallopin and the OTR Cinderellas at 8:57. So that's what you're looking at in the top five. ATP Racing Stingers at 9:06. They're in sixth. Sisu Racing Royal City in seventh. And Fear Nothing right now sitting back in eighth. Nathan, this is going to be really interesting. It's really the story of the
racing,
day.
Actually, very close racing at the top end here, as you can see. And then we've got
It's a pure team time trialist course, Nathan, right? It really does show you how the differences between these teams and their abilities to execute in this discipline, it's best illustrated on this type of course. This isn't going to show us who's got the very fittest riders. It's going to show us the best team.
Well, third, fourth, and fifth, interesting enough, also split by 2 seconds. So very close racing, as we can see there, between them. Sisu Du, Cinderellas, Crowd Gallopin. And Sisu Du have brought themselves from where it was a starting point of, I believe, 5th place, and jumped up quite a bit here, maybe even more than that. Wow. Nice job by the team that we're looking at right now on screen. I'm going to just double check these standings here. Is that right? Where was Sisu? All the way down in 7th place, actually, with 14 points. And now finding themselves up in 3rd at the first time check. Have they just gone out super hot? Or is this like a statement being made by Sisu Do right now?
Yes
Donis
and yes.
Kaplan, Poland. I bet you this is live as well, as Poland a lot of times does broadcast. So I'm going to see if we can find that out there, because this is at 150 beats per minute. She is having a solid ride.
I love it. I absolutely love this. Sisu is stepping up here today in London. And so to answer your question, are they going out hot? Yes. Can they sustain it? We'll find out. I certainly love to, to take my chances that way, and getting out there. That this course is not super complicated. Once you get in, that first 5K is extremely challenging. As we take a look at Sisu, Sisu is a Finnish word. I was curious to understand more of the backstory for this team. Sisu has thousands of riders, Nathan. It's certainly more than hundreds. I'm not exactly sure how many riders, but it's a worldwide movement within esports. It's Sisu is a Finnish word that speaks to a certain lifestyle. It's really hard to translate into English, to tell you the truth, what Sisu means, but it means close to something like spirit. And these teams and fun. You can actually look that up on Google, and you can see what I'm talking about. There's different words that kind of fall into this category. So this now is going to be 29K of racing. It certainly never gets easy out here, but you find out a lot at that first check. Coralie, who was racing earlier and did an outstanding job. And that's a great question, Coralie. She's asking how many teams are racing this season across the board. So by across the board, I'm assuming she's meaning every single racer, A's, B's, C's, and D's, and men and women. So that's a Martin question.
Martin's Finnish strength of will, determination, and perseverance is what Sisu is standing for.
Thank you, Martin.
While
you're there,
teams across the board, we have 1,600, and this was at the start of the final week, or of the final week of registration, I believe, or right around that time. So there may be a few more, but this is pretty close to the number. 1,612 teams, 266 women teams, 1,346 men's teams or mixed teams, 153 divisions across 19 leagues, 12,390 people, and that was so far, because it can go up from that moment forward as far as people on the teams. New racers, 1,265, and returning racers, 11,125. Martin, if we can get a graphic for that, I'd love to show it on screen, actually, rather than just reading it out, because that's something to definitely be absolutely proud of. And I definitely want to be able to highlight how many people there are participating in teams, participating across the board. What a community, Coralie is saying, and it's true. It's we say it as much as without sounding like a broken record, but it is probably, I'm almost positive, the largest weekly sporting community that competes in the world and I think by far.
So we put it out there.
Yeah.
Well, and Nathan, we've said, hey, if anybody else wants to challenge that, let us know. Haven't had one thing show up in my inbox. Sea Otter just happened. That's always been my thing. I say, well, what we have this week in ZRL is more than Sea Otter this week. And Sea Otter is considered the biggest outdoor based on number of starts in the cycling world. A marathon like Boston Marathon or New York or Paris or London, I'm going to guess they typically are capped. I don't think I've heard of more than 40,000 taking the start. That's not even a month for us in the ZRL. And really close to the same numbers happen on Thursdays, every single Thursday with WTRL. When we talk about Martin, that's Martin Carew, who just does an amazing job at WTRL. He and Steven, and Martin is the mastermind, to be honest, has built this from scratch. So we're talking about, with 160 weeks of WTRL, you're going back now 3 years of this being crafted and bespoke. It's been unbelievable. I think you could make an incredible documentary if you went to Martin's house up in Canada and watched what he does and how this all has happened. But you would have started too late. So I see next, presented by Insured, is out on course, one of the top teams in the history of esports. And they are on top of their game right now as well, as they are 11.9K in already. Sisu Do, as we look at the split screen right now, dual screen, showing with Hardage is the rider that they've got 4 riders there. Start with 6. I guess I'll quickly talk about the details, Nathan. Teams start with 6. That's ideal. Can't start with less than 4. It's the 4th rider that you take your time from out here in London today, 29K of racing.
Real quickly, Dave, I want to highlight something just because I've raced with this guy and I just got to. It's great to see other mountain bikers that are professionals from around the same time that I was racing, jumping into the world of Zwift racing. Drew Esdell, and he's also riding for WLC. It's a new. I'm assuming this is a new pickup because I don't remember seeing Drew on the platform. MTBfitness.com is Drew, great coach, and he raced pro around the same time as I was really going for it on the Pro XCT circuit, riding for that Kenda Stan's No Tubes team for a long time. And now riding WLC, great to see. And I think he's still racing pro on the mountain bike, if I'm not incorrect. And he's on the top team in the America Central, as this is America Central that we're looking at right here for the mixed men's right now on the WLC. Brown,
that's great.
Carwell, Joe Carroll, JP Durand, and then Drew Esdell jumping in there as
Where's
well.
he from, Nathan? Where does he live?
Yeah, so Drew, I believe, is hanging out. He's in your neck of the woods from Denver,
Colorado,
actually. Yeah.
Oh,
Colorado.
wow. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I thought he sounded familiar.
I was going to say, yeah, I was like, you recognize the name, but yeah, great to see him.
Well, definitely, for me, this is the first time that I've seen Drew on Zwift. So I hope he's new.
Yeah, same here. That's why I was like,
yeah.
Where is this coming from? Like all of a sudden, he's been picked up by Wahoo Lacole. It does look like he did jump in on March 1st for the WTRL EMEA East Division. I'm looking back a little further. I'm not seeing any ZRL prior to that, though. So, and it is going to be 2021, February 24th, that he did jump on for his first Zwift power race. Looks like, I don't want to race. Well, I would love to race with Drew in real life. It looks like his numbers are still pretty dang good. So good to see on that as well. It doesn't look like he just say he's a dad as well. So great to see the family growing over there as he's still racing his bike.
Well, the other rider, the name that's just rolled by, you see that E Veal right in the middle? That has to be Ed Veal out of Canada.
Chasing him down?
Yeah, right, exactly. Ed just won a race this last weekend. They kicked off the American Criterium Series, and he raced in the pro race. Then I think he was top 20 in the pro men's race. And then the next day I saw over in Piedmont, Georgia, he took a win in a Masters race there. Ed has been, there you go, the draft rider, Ed Veal, rolling along. But this is Central, Nathan?
We're trying to cross. We're going across. Right? We're going across all three in the because they go off right next to each other. So we will do our absolute best to cover Central and both of the Easts as they do make their way around course. I think we can do so on a team time trial day. We can look at a little bit more of the numbers and go across the numbers and the data as it comes on through.
I almost embarrassed myself, Nathan, and said, "Can we take a look at the espresso class?" But and I was also thinking about course records out here. This is not WTRL's Thursday. Well, I'd love to have you come join us, to tell you the truth. We have a blast. If you haven't participated, and certainly if you're racing in ZRL, you're going to want to be a part of Thursday's team time trial racing. This is a team that we've seen out there plenty of times, the draft team out here. They're 8 seconds quicker than Wahoo Lacole Americas. The Condors are only 3 seconds behind them. Story of the day. Extremely close racing. I mentioned at the opening of the broadcast that we had, of the 4 races that we broadcast this afternoon, or at least this afternoon here in Colorado, the 2 of them had 3 teams within 8 seconds of each other at the finish. I would expect the same thing out here tonight, as Draft has got their hands full with Wahoo Lacole America's Condors. Coalition Frenzy in with an 8:24 now, and 8:28 the time for Z Sunrise. Z Sunrise is its AF Atmosphere the last team out there in this group, and that's the A's, Division 1 A's in the Central.
So one rider to be talking about here, Warren Muir, pulling a current 5.8 watts per kilogram right now. He's a pro elite Canadian national TT championships, 8th place in 2018, 14th in 2021. So we're talking a top 20 on the TT in the entirety of the nation of Canada. So this guy can pull big watts for a while. Obviously, his best, it looks like at the longer ranges, 405. I'm seeing for 14 minutes straight watts, and the guy's coming in at 73 kilograms. The guy's a monster. And has been on the platform for quite a while. You know, when it's speaking to this team, actually, I would say every one of these riders is some of the most familiar names. Draft goes back so far. They Team Draft then molded into Turbo, which then molded into something else, which then turned in, and it kind of was like this kickoff team in a lot of different ways. And, very cool to see where it's come from and where it's gone now at this point. Sorensen, another rider. I'm positive I've commentated on Sorensen from 2016, some in real life events as well. Jeremy Ray, I think, is kind of some newer blood actually to this team compared to Veal, Muir, and Sorensen. So great to see here this team smashing it still. They've brought back, it looks like 14 seconds. I would not put it past them to grab the win here in this Central Division today.
Yeah, they're a team well suited to this course as well. And as you mentioned, talk about a team with experience. So, all right. We're going to a lot of Canadian flags as well. Canada, pound for pound, ounce for ounce, incredibly well represented out here. I did want to note, I know we kind of brushed through it there. Sisu, Martin has the correct definition. I said spirit. I don't think I was that far off, actually, because spirit basically means the strength of will, determination, and perseverance. And that is what Sisu means. And we'll see how they're doing over there. It's going to be really, really close racing. These time checks, we've seen teams come from 12 seconds back at 22K. So if you don't get this one just right as far as your scheduling, and teams have been having to sacrifice riders as well, that's been where you get that extra second. That's been the difference out there. That was Daniel Estrate, the Romanian rider on Aeonian, that put on a clinic in courage and how you do that earlier today in our women's race. And it was her effort there, Nathan, in the last K that was the difference maker. Let's jump back in. This is Next and Insured. They've got the full 6 riders, and you just feel the speed when you look at them out here on course.
Yeah, they're doing
same
really well.
time as
like here. Now,
same
hold
time.
on a second, though. Look at this. Let's go back to the 6K marker quickly. On the Rivet Blur and Les Intrepides here, 7:59, 1 second faster. It's so close, though. Next
We've got
presented Short, Velocio,
yeah.
and Team F Free. They're still in the conversation. It's only 7 seconds at that 6K mark. Now, if we bump out, though, to 14 here, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So, you can see those 4 right there. So Next does open it up a little bit. Velocio, then, they're going to be 3 seconds behind on the River Blower.
Only 3. I mean,
it's still close, though.
Okay. I was going to say, Nathan, if you are going to watch a half hour of esports team time trial and just giving, if you thought, oh, this can't be exciting, give this a shot. Wake up your friends because, okay, let's go. As it's 14K into, that's the halfway point. That's effectively, actually, it's even a little bit more than that in some ways, but 18:05 is that fast time. Velocio, legendary battle here. I mean, like Godzilla and Mothra, these two teams have been battling week after week over the last couple of years. It's been so much fun to watch. One of the best stories in esports. So Velocio, that's the team of KBH, Kevin Bouchard Hall. Next, I mean, there's so many stars on that team. It's not even funny. I like to think of Ashton Lambie, who's not racing tonight, but we'll get into who these teams have. Now, this is America's East. And so 18-16 for On the Rivet Blur. I'm looking for Les Intrepides. The Intrepides here had that. Yep, 7.
1 second.
Yep. So this is data updating here, and when that and what it and
They haven't come through yet.
Still waiting.
We're still waiting on them. Yeah.
Yeah.
they're almost
Well,
at the
they
14
started
mark.
8th. Or no, they didn't start 8th, did they? Or did they, Nathan? Actually, they did not have. I guess we can go look at last week. And where did they finish?
They're not even on the. Where are
Yikes.
they? Where is this team?
Yikes. They're not even on there. So, okay, Intrepids, welcome to the big time, you monsters. This is Catanzaro here, one of the well-loved riders. So I'm going to need to jump over here and start looking at some rosters and see who we've got on these teams. I'm not even 100% sure that KBH is racing. I didn't see a tweet from him. Maybe he was too busy. Yeah, he must be. I have to think so. Okay, so let's see what we've got.
Is Kevin not?
So Scott,
no, he's not here.
I'll tell you what. Let me run through the next team, Nathan, first.
Okay,
Or you have Velocio up? No problem.
Yeah,
Let me jump over to Velocio, as this is going to be Charles McCarthy. I love what Charles McCarthy is all about. Dan Cassidy, Drew Zelinga, Jan Welford, Jason Frank, Mike Morrison, Ryan Kelly. That is who Velocio has racing. Get used to that orange jersey. Now, so they're 3 seconds back. It did open up there, Nathan, a little bit, didn't it? Between split 1 and split 2.
Yeah, it has. And as you can see here, Shiga Hara now making his way to the front at 7 watts per kilogram quickly with an aero power up, really putting the pressure on the team to push it over that 50 kilometer per hour mark. With only 4 riders here, they really have their work cut out for them up against that next presented by Insured team. They are opening up a gap here a little bit. McCarthy, though, off the back, he has to close it down now. This is not a moment where he can falter at all. He has to shut this down now or never. Chigahara might have to back off just a little bit because it is 46 kilometers per hour here, 45 kilometers per hour, up at 48 at the front. They need to kind of bring that tail back to bring Mike back into the fold on this final lap.
Whew, boy, I tell you, that one thing about this course is we've seen riders be able to make a huge difference, but the problem is sometimes you make a little too big of a difference, and right now they're going to need to just stall the beans a little bit and get everything back together here. We talked about the razor's edge and how trying to get those seconds back is where you're pushing so hard that you can easily crack the team and end up that second that you thought to get, all of a sudden 1 step forward, 2 steps back. That is so frustrating. So Nathan, it's such a fine line. It what makes the team time trial so beautiful. Watch out for On the Rivet Blur. This is a team with tremendous experience. They're only 11 seconds back. Team F3A. What a great job they are doing, really moving up into that conversation of the best teams in the world. Les Intrepides. That's going to be 18:39 for them. 18:05, the fast time from next, presented by Insured. Velocio 18:08. That's only 3 seconds back. And we're going to just a couple minutes away from the teams rolling through here. This is Noah Balch of the OTR team, another one of our all-time favorite riders. He's got Dustin Quigley with him out here today, a Canadian, also E. Flatter, and Pedro Ercart is an Argentinian, along with Robert Crocker, who's Canadian on this OTR team. And I see the Pizza Boys are out here. Nathan, big fan of the Pizza Boys, racing out of the heartland of the United States, central U.S. We'll I'm sure have a chance to jump in with them, as they're another team. It's been fun to watch, making their way up the ranks in the world of esports.
It is raining cats and dogs out.
Looks gloomy. The weather got bad.
All of a sudden, it just went really bad out there.
You rode into a storm.
Right. As we are looking to try and jump across a couple of these other categories here as quickly as we possibly can, just to give everybody an idea of what's happening for the women's side of things as well. But we'll see if we can get across that in a second here. I'm going to jump back though. It looks like restart. Are restart caught, or are they here catching OTR? If they're catching OTR, that is a huge jump up that leaderboard. But I think On the Rivet Blower are just having an amazing day, and they may have caught the restart team actually at an 1850.
That's
I think
the
that's
story.
what ended up happening. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So OTR are flying out there today.
This is the best ride we've seen them put together, and they've got to be ecstatic just keeping on the pace right now. The riders on restart here have numbered themselves. That's part of a clerical, some business end stuff there. Just that's how they're able to keep track. Boy, they look like a squad, don't they, right now? That's Leclerc up there on the front as restart today has got Adrian Walton, B. Olsen, Derek O'Farrell, J.P. Leclerc, Merlin Delier, and Pierrick Menard. And that's a French rider there.
Yeah, jump across here real quickly
Pierrick.
over to the women's side of racing here, as I definitely want to throw in some highlights of the B category as they're making their way around. We do have, it looks like, a cryogen team actually with Trudy making her way into the final couple of K here. Let's take a look at the splits and how they played out for the women's B category in the East. And if we do get the splits up here, it looks like Cryogen, Mary Blanc, they were the fastest team coming in. There's a 3 seconds, though, between them and the Wahoo Lacole America's WB1. Very close racing.
Wow.
Mexico Cycling
And
here
it's-
with Kirkland. They
yeah,
moved their way
only
up
9
the
back.
board because they started 5 back. C2 Racing, wow. Okay, I'm going to get the standings up here because there's some changes happening right in front of our eyes right now. As it looks like in this B category, it was actually the Dinos who came in as the fastest team. Interesting.
They're 9th.
They're way back at this point. So talk about a leap. Or was there a dropout? Did they have to wait? Like, I needed a story here.
We need info.
Something has changed, and Cryogen taking over. Cryogen, they were the second place team. Wallow Cole, okay, that all kind of fits. And then there's this other bump up coming from Dutch Diesel, who were 9th place.
This is going to be absolutely bizarre to look at how the results go from week 1 to week 2 here in the ZRL. This is going to be the Bs that we're talking about, America's East. It's a whole new bike race heading into the 3rd week here. So Cryogen is the team on our screen right now. You're going to see Cryogen is another one of the legacy squads out here. They've done their work on a very good ride right now as they make their way through the rain. Well, you don't really see that very often, do you, Nathan? Again, I think it speaks to week 1 was such a gambler's finish as far as with no bonus points out there. It all came down to if you got it wrong at the finish, even really strong teams, end up outside of the top 5. It was that kind of day.
Tome's pulling through at 182 beats per minute currently. Wahoo Cole solidly chasing this team. They've held it within that 3 seconds, actually. Back out to 4. So Cryogen and Wahoo Cole, this final little bit here to the mall is really going to tell the story as to who ends up on top, because Cryogen have just gained a couple of seconds on this downhill. Wahoo Cole weren't able to put it together quite as quickly. Jurish might be able to come through, though, with a roll through. If she does, they're perfectly executed. And they don't actually have to wait up if Toombs finds herself off the back. She doesn't look like she's going to. The continuance is true here, and it's 4.9 watts per kilogram, and that might bring back the seconds they lost over the top of that climb. We'll see. Hurst sitting on that second wheel very well. Nice job by her. All they need is 4 to the line. Continuance is going to be the story here, and they are at a higher watt per kilogram right now than we're seeing from Cryogen. Can WLC pull it off and bring it back at this finish line? They were second at the 22K mark.
Spare a thought for the hard-working racer out here. These women are digging incredibly deep right now. As this finish comes up on you quickly, it's going to be a welcome sight as they make that right-hand turn onto the Red Mall. And this is Goodswan that we're looking at. They're going to finish with 6. This is where, Nathan, I have to say, let's sacrifice a rider. Somebody go to the front, be that hero, and just absolutely empty the tank. You're going to see that with Cryo here as they light the rocket on the way to the finish line. That's the arch. As this one is done and dusted for Cryogen, we're going to jump back and pick up Wahoo Lacole now. This is the mall that we're talking about. This is Hurst, WLC. It's going to be so close. We've got the stopwatch running. Right now, Wahoo Lacole, Yeah, Nathan, it looks like they've done everything they can. That's for sure. They're going to finish with 6.
Yeah, nice job on them. Looking back at I raced like a girl, Freya, now going through the WTRL Dinos. WTRL Dinos with the struggle today as they came in as the top team. And now we're seeing C-Star race like a girl, Freya, who were the 4th ranked team, holding on to their 4th ranked spot at the 22 kilometer marker. But Dutch Diesel Psyche with the big jump up from 9th place all the way into 3rd right now, holding down.
Wow.
The Dinos, though,
Moving
where are they?
day.
As you said, way back here, struggling on the day. What happened with the Dinos is going to be the question. Only 4 here at this point. We'll see at the end result. But, man, big time gaps, too, back for the Dinos.
Typically, Nathan, in CRL, week in, week out, you don't really see that big a shift on who the teams in the top 5 are. Bananas. What's going on out here? This is the Watt sisters. We're going to be jumping around here. We've got teams finishing left, right, and center. So stuff going on all over the shop, right?
So.
We will have the chance. It was bananas out here today. So much great racing. You can take a look at how it all shaped up at WTRL. That's World Tactical Racing League .racing. That's where all the information is kept in the crypt there. This is Coalition that we're looking at, and about 400 meters to go, actually. So this one's almost over. It's full stick at this point.
Yeah, I'm just going to bring them in real quickly here to give you an idea of what happened in the C category with the ladies. 34-16 velocity. Chasing them down with ATP Racing Hive. ATP Racing Hive came in as the fastest in the C category. Coalition Eclipse here going to battle it out for maybe a tie at the end of the day between themselves and that ATP Racing Hive. But they got Velocity in between them, mucking it up a little bit. So that's the 3-way battle for the series, it looks like. As Obscure Finesse, Eclipse are a little ways back outside of that conversation, perhaps. And they'd got... Is that going to be Rave Beast Coast there in 4th that we're coming into the day? So that's the situation that we're looking at out on course for that C category. Velocity here with about a K to go. And really that conversation, though, for those top spots is going to be Coalition Eclipse and Velocity and ATP Racing Hive. We'll see how that plays out at the end of the day and take a look at the standings. But really, I think the separation, it was enough for Eclipse. Velocity and ATP, they're going to have to get to the line.
Some of the best racing and some of the best team names happen in the C's, without any doubt. This is our America's East Division 1 C women in Velocity. They got the finish line right there. That's some incentive. It's going to be, you don't get a better workout than what they just did. They're going to finish right at 45 minutes. What a hit out here tonight. Coalition Eclipse, Velocity, ATP Racing Hive. It's going to be a great season here, as race number 2 is now in the books for Velocity. This is going to be Absque Finesse presented by Wolf and a team with about a K and a half of racing left. This is our C's that we're in with here.
Yeah, the Eclipse team with a solid 35.05. I think they've got a gap enough to HDRL Cherry Bombs to hold them off.
What's a cherry bomb?
Well, there's a lot of different, I think, definitions.
Yeah, is it a?
There's fireworks. There's like firecrackers.
Firework. I think firework.
That's one. But there's also probably some sort of hard liquor drink.
There's probably some kind of hard liquor drink. Right. So exactly.
Someone's gonna yell at us in chat like, "How do you not know what's going on here?" But.
Well, we don't, believe me.
Have
you not been following us?
Keep the fireworks off of my,
You're surprised?
My front lawn. But if you want to send me anything else,
yeah, you know what? Not that we're not. It's not political or anything, but it's almost like it becomes next door online. But I think these days fireworks. I've never been a fan, so I'll just leave it at that. Well, the dogs, right, and veterans. There's two things. You're startling people and dogs, so I'm not a fan of that. I don't like to startle anyone.
Not a fan of fireworks. He's not a fan of fireworks, man.
Not a fan.
I'm going to post a lot of fireworks now on my Instagram. Lots and lots of fireworks.
You've got kids, and kids love fireworks. And you're a kid. So
just a big kid. Brave Beast
Kid at
Coast
heart.
making their way to the line now as well in this C category. Loving the C category and the efforts that they're putting out. Cherry Bombs.
Some of the best
a little ways
friendships,
behind.
right? I mean, Nathan, this is the heart and soul of esports racing, the C racers out here. The best friendships, that reliability. I used the term earlier with Riders Without Borders, the esprit de corps. And it's the best part of this, is having your buddies that you ride with, sharing your inside jokes. It's a big part of what makes WTRL so successful as well, is these people love each other. They love racing against each other, with each other, and the Cherry Bombs are a great example of that. Australian Hump Day Ride. That's another one of the original. Well, Nathan, you were talking about it wasn't Vision, it was Draft, a team that goes way, way back to the early days of esports. I would have to say that, Les Watch Sisters, more of a recent thing in the last couple of years, I would say. At least that's when they showed up on my radar. But AHDRL, that's the Australian Hump Day Ride. That definitely resonates with me as something in the very, very early days of Zwift.
Anna Russell jumping into the chat, it looks like. She said
Oh,
that didn't
boy.
get any easier. 31:05 at the 22K mark. Wahoo Cole came through at a
Do you think they won?
31:05.
I don't know.
Wyatt at a 31:01. We don't know. Sisudi was a little
We
ways
don't
behind.
know.
CryoGen and Gallup were right on their heels. So it'll be interesting to see what these results end up playing out with. I do have VCRT finishing up on the men's side of things in just a moment. So we'll jump across to them in just a little bit here, out of the East and out of Central, both of those finishing up. So we were able to get across, though, the C, B, and A category in the women's East. We always love to highlight everything that's going across all of the categories. Let's go ahead and jump across, though, to the men as they're just finishing up and see what those splits were as we do jump in with the ZT BR team here out of the Americas East. And as they make their way around, let's get these splits going on. And it will be next presented by Insured. Half finished up, had a solid gap. Velocio there about 20 seconds back. It was 10 seconds back there at the 22K mark at 28:38. Team FR a little ways back as well. And
The Pizza Boys there, Nathan, sitting in the top 10. It's interesting because I know these guys in real life. They're all top-notch racers. They showed up at an event in Columbus, or at least Larry Hughes is from Columbus, or near Columbus at least. It's Cody Hardley, Chris Rednauer, Larry Hughes, Nate Clausen, and Reese Edwards. Reese, I'm going to bet that the Welsh have particularly good pizza. They know how to do it right in Wales, and that's where Reese is from. The rest of the guys are Americans on that Pizza Boys team. But they definitely get that. You can see how close they are. How many teams from 29-13 to 29-29? So that's something where you can say that's a competitive grouping from 5th to 10th. So Pizza Boys are climbing the ladder out here. That's the team that we're looking at now, is they're down to way under a K to go, about 500 meters until they've got this one put paid. This is Jeremy Ray in Draft finishing up now. We got to spend some time with them.
They brought a lot of time. I just wanted to get here quickly because I wasn't able to show it real clearly, but they were within like 20 seconds of WLC just a moment ago before WLC crossed the line.
Wow.
And I'm gonna bring this up as Pizza Boys are finishing up. Great job to all those in America's East. We will get that in here in just a second. But there's a story that has unfolded here in the America Central that I really want to highlight because I'm not exactly sure what went down, but it looks to me like Draft brought back and just dominated on the day-to-day with a 28:37. The Condors, the fading of the WLC team, actually, it looks like back to a 29:03 at the last checkpoint. I wonder if they were able to hold on to a top 3 even, because if we look at this, they were coming in as the fastest team by far, or at least the top team, and looks like unable to hold down, though, in a team time trial situation. Coalition now showing themselves maybe to try and get the better of them. I don't know, though, at 21 seconds back, Wahoo will probably hold on to third.
In all honesty, it's the scenario that you're looking for where you don't have a runaway team dominating. And even a team, the Aeonian women in EMEA that have got 2 wins. It hasn't come easily. So what we're seeing is this parity across the different leagues that makes the racing sensational. And taking a look here, so this is where it's sunny now. Sun has come out. So just wait around a few minutes and the weather will change out on course today, as we'll see if that time from draft holds up. I would expect it does over the Condors. This is Coalition Frenzy coming to the line now.
Being told, Laura Perry jumping in the chat. Always great to see you, Laura. She's letting us know that Angela Pitzer was actually their DS tonight, former U.S. national champion of Zwift. So
out of Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, good voice to have in your ears,
Yeah.
I think, when it comes to DS and the team. See what kind of results they were able to pull off out there tonight, because it was a close one in the Americas East for the women. Central now finishing up stills. We have the Condors on the screen, 28-58 versus draft. Big jump for them if we look at the current series standings, as the Condors were all the way down in 6th place with 15 points. I'm not sure they're going to bring back 21 seconds, Dave, but this is still going to bump them up maybe to a 3rd place on the day if they're able to hold down that time gap. But they did have Wahoo Cole to deal with still. That was only a 5-second difference.
Every point's going to matter, right? So fighting for that 1 point, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So just because you can't get...
who is Caleb Carl riding for?
So let's take a look.
I'm wondering, because he's got Skylab in the name here.
Right. So I'm going to guess that.
No.
Was he with Condors?
He might have been with Condors. He might have been with Condors out there today. Good to see him showing up. I mean, I know he's still building back after an insane crash, lots of surgeries, and then also getting a hip replacement. So I think it might have been double. So great to see him out here and still hammering away amongst the A category. He might have raced multiple times today already too, knowing Caleb Carl. So I just wanted to highlight and shout out Caleb. He is streaming live as well as with next to Annie Pullen, who was a part of the Sisu team we saw earlier. So you can always check them out.
How does that make the regular human feel that Caleb Carl gets a double hip replacement and is stronger than me within about a week after that? Right? I mean,
not about a week. I mean, that was so. Yeah, we did a ride with him in October as like a pre-hip replacement ride. Like, we'll see you soon, Carl, kind of a thing on the platform. We live streamed it.
Like, he never left, right?
And then he was back in like 2 months, and all of a sudden he's like, I was in a TTT with him, and he was like, I can't go any harder. My knee is literally going to give out. And I think when he means give out, it was going to fall apart or something.
Just fall off.
Yeah, like, I have to watch it here. I can't put out more power down on this thing.
So, Nathan, I think you'll like this. I couldn't help myself but look up what cherry bomb meant. And it has a bunch of meanings. None of them, all fine. Then cherry bomb slang. I was like, I decided to look. Well, it's a game, Foursquare, which I see the kids around my house playing now. Do you know what Foursquare is? Do your boys or not boys, kids play that?
I was a kid. I played Foursquare as a kid. Yeah.
So I never played that, but it's obviously popular.
There's new ones now that are like Foursquare that are way cooler. Way cooler. They get me play, but no.
It's almost like Foursquare 3D. Sort of now, I think. You see, it looks fun. So spiking the ball or slamming it down with force is called a cherry bomb. Even more than a cherry bomb, it's called a tree topper or a tree top. I think we should have names like that for attacks in the ZRL.
Yeah, we need some stuff
he
like
just
that.
tree topped it.
Right, yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So
100%.
Was that a cherry bomb or a treetop? Well, we'll find out. Hey, so finishing up anyways, we've always joked.
I'm going to do something here real quick just because on the TTT day, and I'm just going to make a call just because we need to highlight this guy. And, the fact that he's coming back from so much adversity is why I'm doing this.
Fair play to you, yeah.
And that's the main thing here. So we're going to go ahead and give it to Caleb Carl out here today.
Way to go, Caleb.
As he's, the 5K to go here. Of course, he logs out as right as we say it. But I'm going to give it to Caleb.
He's got a lot of fans, too. A lot of people pull for this guy.
Ton of them. So good job on him and showing up and making it happen still, even though there's been
a badass he is, man.
A lot of adversity. So
Yeah.
All right, so
Hey, well, good call, Nathan. You got it right. I commend you on your choice.
yeah, so our 5K to go hero doesn't want to go away though. It doesn't like us right now.
Well,
Interesting.
what a day. So we're not done as we're just waking Kate Bates up. We've sent her wake up call to her in Sydney. And did you just make me the 5K
You're the
hero
5K.
there?
Well, it's
Oh my
you
gosh.
see
I'd
what
like to
it
thank
just
my
doesn't like.
family, mom
Yeah,
and dad.
you should thank
Yeah.
the family, mom, dad, everybody, as it's completely stuck here for some reason. We're gonna see if we can get it to go away, but it doesn't like
Hey,
us.
you made it through the broadcast. That's like getting a flat tire as you're coming across the line in a time trial, Nathan. Um, I know Gila is coming up. I've seen that before, where riders are riding on the rim as they come across the line. That's kind of what we did today. It's been a huge day of broadcasting team time trialing as we wrap up ZRL's week number 2. Nathan, I'll throw it back to you. I know you've got some results you want to get up there on the board.
Yeah, we'll bring the results in. We just had to delete our 5K. You know, it was bugging us, so I just had to
So that
delete it.
feature no longer exists. I hope you enjoyed it.
I just was like,
We did it for
well,
2 weeks.
that was great, and it just didn't want to
Yeah,
go away.
well-
it was like bugging us. So I
Hey,
just
whatever
just
happened to
deleted
5K
it.
to go hero? It's like, well, they killed it after 2 weeks. It jammed.
It jammed, so we just threw the part out. We just
Yeah.
threw it out. Oh my gosh, it's so good. All right, let's
Oh,
go ahead and
gosh.
see if we can bring some results in at least. As in the women's side of things for the Americas East Div 1, Riot pulled it off, 13 seconds. And I
Whoa.
think they
Wow.
poked the bear, as you
Experience,
said, Dave.
baby.
Poked the bear.
Experience, right?
Yeah.
Nobody
Wahoo
puts
Nicole.
baby in a corner.
You know, and they
Yeah,
were all the way
13
down in, what was
seconds.
it, 4th place? Was that right? It was
Yeah,
fourth
after week
place
1,
coming
4th.
after week 1. And then they come out and they dominate by 13 seconds. ATP Racing Stingers all the way down in 6th, and they were coming in as the leaders. That is so interesting. Whatever WTRL has done with that opener, I like it, to be honest.
Me too. As a
Because
matter of
it
fact,
changes
I remember saying
things
how
up.
awesome Yeah. I don't know. I hope everyone's taking notes, but for me, heck yes, the way this season is going. Wahoo Nicole only 13 and a half seconds back, Nathan. They can be proud of that ride because Riot, they have been, don't call it a comeback. They've been here for years, as LL Cool J would say. That's a good person to quote. Well, I guess it is for Christina Grossman. She's out there in New York, and certainly this is what they've been used to. But Wahoo Nicole, they're knocking on that door. In team time trialing, that's a speciality of Riot. Crouch Gallop and ending up in 3rd today. Sisu Du will take 4th place points. It's on the rivet. Cinderella's in 5th. ATP Racing Stingers, as Nathan mentioned, a 1st and a 6th ain't bad. We'll see what they do next week. Sisu Racing, Royal City, and then Fear Nothing, 8th place out here today. That's America's East, Division 1A women. Let's take a look at the Bs.
Yeah, and in the B category, we've got Cryogen Mary Blanc coming on through at a 43.03. Wahoo Nicole, America's WB1, only 5 seconds back. Very close racing. Dutch Diesel Cycling, Kirkland Signature come on through at 3rd place. They were way down the leaderboard, actually, in 9th place coming in. So that is a big jump for them. And only 6 seconds back. C2R Race Like a Girl Freya come on through for 4th, followed up by ATP Racing Honeybees, 22 seconds back. Hot battle for 4th and 5th between those two. C2R Racing Sula. Man, this is close. 20, 22, 24, 28 seconds, all within 8 seconds. Sisu Racing Sula in 6th. Herd of Butterflies in 7th. Lei Watt Sisters, JZQC. Makaniak in 8th. It's going to be WTRL Dinos way down in 9th after being the series leaders, coming in a minute 54 back. Raveheart coming in at 10th. Vixens B Racing. They are in for 11th. 203 back from the win.
All right, let's look at what happened with the C's out here today in race 2 in America's East, and it was Coalition Eclipse doing what they do. With 45.03, they're going to take the win. Velocity good for the silver standard, and ATP Racing Hive, the bronze medal in 3rd. AF Eclipses in 4th. Rave Beast Coast, 5th. AHDRL Cherry bombed it out there. Good job. In 6th. 7th place for Fearlessly. 8th goes to the Revo Doves. 9th place is Royal Sitting, WC1. Lei Watt Sisters, the JZQ. Chasing Chicks, 10th. And the Klets, excuse me, in 11th. I'll throw it back to you, Nathan, while I look up what that means.
Off to the D category is going to be WTRL Dinos Veloci coming on through, and then it's going to be Vix Tricks here in for second, in at 43 seconds back. WTRL Dinos Stego in third, Llama Stay in fourth at 135 back. Leywat Sisters JCQCD in fifth, and then it's going to be Herd of Blazing Bobcats in sixth, Vibe Energy in seventh, 229 back. Team Storm Hurricane, followed up by Team F3 for 8th and 9th. WTRL Dinos Harpy in 10th, and Rave Party, they round out the top 11, 450 back. Real quickly, I'm just going to highlight the A category here because this was a battle with Wahoo Lacole.
Wow.
At the top
wow.
now.
Isn't that interesting? So Wahoo Lacole has not won either round, but they're in first place based on consistency.
Exactly. Consistency, and now a little bit of change-ups there. We'll see what they bring to the next race. It'll be really interesting to see how that plays out because it's going to tell. It's really going to set this, like this sets things up for another stage to be set, right? This is like, whoa, what just happened? A lot of change-ups between ATP Racing Stingers, Riot, and now Wahoo Lacole. Is it going to do it all over again, or is somebody going to kind of come out as the obvious favorite, as Riot has been over and over again? Are they on the rise to dominate again, or are some of these other teams figuring something out? That's going to be the question, I think, to be answered next week. On over to the men's racing and the results. It is going to be next, presented by Insured in the East Div 1A, dominating 36 seconds up from Velocio.
Take a look at second through fourth, and you're right, Nathan. They did what they've done. So you can't be surprised here, but it never comes easy. Congratulations, as they're just a little more efficient out there. As you see, that watch per kilo for the team slightly lower than Velocio, who are in second, but they're not really the gold standard. When you talk about next, they've become the platinum standard. Next, presented by Insured, taking the win in week 2. Velocio, they're always there. They're always hungry. They're going to be second today. And it's very close, however, as it's just a few seconds back to OTR Blur on the Rivet. Blur having an out-of-this-world ride today. Same thing could be said for Team F3A. Great job, guys. Look how close that is. Oh, they'll get there. They'll get up on that podium, Nathan. Fourth place for Team F3A. Restart in fifth. Les Intrepides, number 1. That's sixth place for them today. ATP had 2 races. If you added the teams together, you'd have water. But right now, you've got ATP Racing with oxygen and hydrogen in 8th, 7th for oxygen. I guess you'd need 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen to have water, right? But Dirt Alert in 9th. Pizza Boys Racing, I love watching their ascendancy out here. Pizza Boys Racing in 10th and VCRT. The Amstas in 11th. Nathan, that's the A's in America's East, Division 1. How are the B's doing?
B category, Team of 3, E-Punks come on through to 39.51. It's going to be Dirty Ducks Bees there at, wow, 1468 back with ATP Racing Neon. 2-second difference between third and fourth for Royal City Cycling MB1. Draft B in fifth, 50 seconds back flat. Cryogen Harakam in sixth at 58.85. On the Rivet, Oost B in seventh. RR Northern Rhinos in 8th, ODZ Barracuda coming through for 9th, Coalition Vortex in 10th, and 11th goes to the ZHQ Rockets B. I want to know who's on the ZHQ Rockets B. That's going to be my question. And it'll be really interesting to know as who came through in those spots in this East. But then head on over to the C category, Dave.
And look at the top of the table. It's Herd Mentality with the 42.30. That's going to be good for the win. Herd of Trusty Steeds take the silver. Third going to ATP Racing Freon. Fourth to ATP Racing Halogen. WTRL SQL in fifth. Coalition Enigma sixth. Dirty Grinders seventh. RR Nuclear Rhinos eighth. Again, this is our East Division 1 C's. 8th for the Rhinos. BPCC Apogee in 9th. WEWC in 10th. And then Les Diablos, Les Watt Brothers in 11th. That's your C's.
In the D category for the America's East, 30 watts, underrated. 48-48. Susu Racing Honey, come on through for second place in 21.95. Herd of Fighting Frisians in third, followed by Dirty Watts Undiscovered. And then it's going to be Coalition Harmony for 12 back.
Underrated, undiscovered. Good names.
Underrated
Yeah.
and undiscovered with the D's. Nice job, guys.
Undetectable should be.
Yeah, that would be a great one, too. That would be a great one. You going to join up on that team, Dave? Is that your
Yeah,
team?
I'll be. That's the team I'm on. Undetectable. Yeah.
Undetectable.
Listen, what a great round of racing we had here, Nathan. America's East and Central. Awesome job getting a chance to look into a bunch of different categories and divisions racing today. So, job well done over there at headquarters.
Yeah, Central draft, they dominated. Condors bumped it up here, it looks like, a little bit. They took out Wahoo Lacole Americas, Coalition Frenzy, and then Zed Sunrise. That was the situation for the Central Div 1As. And this is, part of the reason why we really have the Central is most likely where it starts filling in with the Bs and the Cs and the D category. CRW B Train were at the top.
Yeah, and then so they did a 39-38 to take the win, finishing starting with 6 riders. Velo Z started with 4. It makes it more impressive to see they were within a minute there. In second, Gavia 88 Academy. Gavia 88. That's where Andy Hampston wins that Giro d'Italia. That's the snowy day you see him racing with the gloves. That's such a beautiful picture. Third place for that team today. Most full CC Leywat Brothers in fourth. ATP Racing Lithium fifth. AHDR Troopers in sixth. RR Incendiary Rhino, 7th, Sisu Racing Varus, 8th, Coalition Solace in 9th, Team F3 BE2, 10th, and then VCRT, the Coyotes. Now you're on the fringe of what a dog is, I think, with the Coyotes there. Next thing, it'll be VCRT Wolves, Saber-Tooth Tigers. All right, back to you, Nathan. With the
Killer Whales, ODZ are at the top.
There you go.
BMTR Cubs in second. Sisu Racing Mallards. It's all the animals here coming on through. AAVC in for fourth. 153 back. OTR Wheat Thicks in fifth. Are they eating too many things? I don't know what's happening there. BMTR Domestiques in sixth. V2NV Triple Crown Seek, followed up by Coalition Energy. And last but not least, on our broadcast of Eastern Central is the D's.
All right, so that gives you a look. So Central really hotting things up out there. Big day of racing. We've got the ATP Racing Fluorine in the top spot. Herd of Queasy Quarter Horses in. They're looking for the alliteration. And with Q, you're challenged, aren't you? So that's a great job by the silver medal winning team. Herd of Queasy Quarter Horses as they'll get. Look at how close that was, just a little over a second.
Close.
Ahead of the Herd of Plowing Percherons, and then Zed Suntastic taking fourth place today. That's your D's.
We need names like this in...
The best names come from, as we've said.
In real life, but in real life cycling needs names like this. We need... It'd be amazing. Dave...
You know, they're starting to, like the Miami Blazers, right? So, yeah, I agree with you, though. A little more creativity. We're creating new models in racing, and esports is really helping to do that. That's for sure.
They're paying lots of attention to the broadcast. That's why they're changing their names.
We're trendsetters, Nathan.
Yeah,
we're trendsetters. I was talking about Amstel Gold Race earlier in the broadcast in that photo finish. You know, we've got the Tour... Paris-Roubaix avec Zwift coming up this weekend. Incredibly excited for that women's race as well. So I've never watched more bike racing in one weekend than this last weekend with the mountain bike racing down in Brazil. Red Cup, just a Red Bull doing such an amazing job with that coverage. So, man, we're not done.
Nino's post and his thank you to Julian was pretty cool, to be honest.
Yeah.
And
tying 33 World Cup wins there to tie Julian Absalon.
Big deal,
crazy.
Big deal. Cool to see. Well, go check out some more coverage in between the coverage if you want to, but it is America's West coming at you next. We'll see you in a little less than an hour. Dave's going to stay right where he is. Well, at least it's going to look that way. And Kate will take
You'll
over
think
for
so.
me.
Yeah.
You'll think so, exactly. We'll see you guys in a little bit. Follow button, subscribe, like, comment. It helps out the channel a ton. WTRL.racing as always. And thanks everybody for tuning in. Great job to all the racers. And as always, ride on.
Let them see your perfect